War. It is regarded as one of the last phases of an ongoing conflict. This particular phase is characterized by fighting and escalating violence between the disagreeing parties. And almost certainly, history continues to show that there are always individual main characters around which the conflict evolves.
Have lost both parents and young brothers.
There was no peace at all.
Each conflict is unique in its own context, and the resultant violent confrontation has been seen to be activated by a trigger.
It started with the hatred speeches when the Liberation War started. It was in 1990 in October. Of course, the genocide, the massacre actually, because the genocide and the ideology started earlier, before, many years ago. But the trigger was the crash of the plane of the former president of Rwanda, Habyarimana. This was when the actual killing started. It was in 1994.
Politicians declare that Tutsi, they are only enemy of Rwanda. And they declare openly on the radio, newspapers, in small meetings. And everyone who feels that is Mututsi, he's ready to die.
When humans develop misunderstanding, they often strive to build consensus. This, however, is sometimes hindered by the diverging views and ambitions among them.
The Nairobi peace talk did not end up well. While people of Uganda were busy, very confident, trusting in the peace talk, President Museveni and the team moved on and they took over government.
More often than not, connected with the actual problem. It may take several years, sometimes generations of brewing conflict, but in most situations, the war drums will not sound, not for too long before aggression sets in, as long as the timely trigger has been pulled. Human rights violations, a constant result of genocide, insurgency, terrorism among the different acts of war.
Genocide is a crime against humanity that is out of our thinking. We cannot think about the consequences of genocide.
Northern Uganda conflict was played along human rights violations and abuse, and that already being discriminated and suffered, sexual and gender-based violence. And that means that there is already diminished voice, and also people that were characterized by the problem,
For centuries, the Great Lakes region of Africa has been home to violent clashes between the communities. From the mighty Congo River to the magnificent Blue Nile and to the shores of the phenomenal Lake Victoria.
We advocated for dialogue until we had Betty Bigombe's peace talk, which flopped.
Fear, insecurity, agony, bitterness and trauma, the legacy of war.
During the wartime, people used to just run and sleep down. I used to see even sometimes people can broke up like during daytime, running away from schools.
Hiding out in the bush was my worst experience ever. And then seeing this dead guy when they shot him near the place. I had never seen a dead body. And then I happened to see a rebel guy being shot down, and it was my worst.
Rebels would come and kill the civilians. Government would also come and kill the civilians. Yet, for us as civilians, we thought it was a responsibility of government to protect us.
In genocide, I live in different locations because if people needs you to kill you, you have to search the location. It's a fair question.
We tried to escape and we ran out from home and we were around the board of Chief Mohazi Lake, and the people from the side of GT, they decided to do not kill anyone, and they help us to cross over.
I see our neighbors killing the Tutsis, and I have told you that I have lost both parents and young brothers. So I have so many things during the genocide. They started actually harassing Tutsis and all the Hutu in opposition. Before it was there, separation in schools and getting the job, several people were blacklisted, incognito. So, but beginning with the 1990 Liberation War, that's where everything was obvious.
After surviving genocide, I was confused. The life was confused. Things were very bad here in Rwanda because we see the dead bodies of our relatives. So the traumatic period were very, very hard. Others decided to go to the army force, not for feeling that I want to be a soldier, but only that I need to gain a gun. After that, when I come back with a gun, I will revenge. After
genocide, of course, we were angry. Everybody was angry. Why the killings? Why the massacres? But I would say that unfortunately I was already in the army, and there was a certain kind of discipline you need to follow. I couldn't do whatever I want to do. I always thought that if it really depends on me, I would revenge. I would go and kill other people. But I was not able.
Communities are torn apart. Lives are lost. Livelihoods are wasted away. Cultures distorted.
The war resulted into the destruction of many of our physical infrastructures, both in terms of our schools, hospitals, and other communication facilities.
Life was hard. We lost so many people in the camps. And we also lost our culture.
Because of the war, many of our people have developed dependency mind.
It's still so much in their mind. Case in point, I remember when I was in school, one of the girls who was once abducted by the rebels came back. She went back to school, but it seems that thing used to haunt her because every time someone tried to, let me say, disturb her, she can become so violent and even tells you things like, I've killed so many, you get it? So I can even kill you.
HIV/AIDS. That one also, it was there, but because of the war, people were staying together, all people were crowded in the camp. And that one made many people to be affected.
During my stay at the university, I was the president of Clinical Psychology Student Association in Rwanda. So my position was a great position to me to intervene in the society, like providing counseling and just providing message of hope for the survivors, but not only the survivors, because also the perpetrators and just offenders were in their isolation. So my role was just to bring them together.
Being a survivor, having a neighbor perpetrator, it is not easy. But I have a hope because it was a challenge, but Rwandan survivors and and other Rwandans has tried to overcome that situation. There are some settings here that helped them to overcome. There's justice. Justice also is among the tools that may help to be resilient. If there is no justice, it is somehow so difficult.
We go in the prisons, we preach, and also we try to transform the people, to bring the message of hope, of forgiveness, to let them understand their purpose, their law, so that they can just be free in their hearts and just try to repent what they did in 1994.
umudugudu ujya kujyaho byatewe n'amateka yabaye muri iki gihugu kubera jenoside. uyu mudugudu rero bajya kuwubaka bafashe abantu batishoboye, ariko abantu bari barakoze jenoside bari bamaze kuva mu magereza bamaze gusaba imbabazi abo bakoreye jenoside.
As the Unity and Reconciliation is a big program for Rwanda because it's not about the headquarters of the commission, because the Unity and Reconciliation, as I said, it's mainstreamed in all activities of Rwandans, and the policy itself is putting it like that. And the commission works in a way of coordinating all activities which are really cross-cutting. When I see the leadership of this country and the Rwandans are committed themselves to continue to have the same leadership, are participating actively to have a leadership they want, a leadership which is taking them to the accomplishment of that vision, there is no fear.
We are fighting another conflict of livelihood and conflict of destiny.
At first, government wanted to modernize the camps to be homes, but we saw that that was almost a plan to try and remove land from the people.
Land in northern Uganda is everything. And that's where I begin with it, because you want to go to school, you need to have a land. You need to address issues of health, maternal health, livelihood. You need to eat well, you need to have land. You need to have economic resource, you get back to land. But we have another war on land right now. Because of oil and gas, numbers of people are being displaced.
The problem of land actually emanates from our translation of land conflicts, what we call translative land discourse. And what is translative? That we apply the Western standard of land. As a result, we've created scenarios that we call solutions, which are also Western related. For example, there's what you call cadastral and terrestrial land conflicts. Here in Achille, there's no such a thing as cadastral. Cadastral is, legal boundaries of land.
muri ubwo buhungiro namaze amezi abiri nta kurya nta kunywa nabaga muri tuwarete.
mu kwitabira gukora jenoside bitewe n'abari baragiye banyura mu mashuri babigishaga ko umwanzi ari umututsi kuva kera ngo yakoroneje abahutu, bumva muri 1994 babashishikariza ko bagomba kubica n'imitungo yabo bakayitwara.
That even if that final peace agreement was not signed, it is, for me, it's a success. It is the reason why we are here at home. It is the reason why our children are right now in school. It is the reason why even government was forced to plan for recovery. So we have a recovery program which is called PRDP, Peace Recovery Development Program.
38% of girls dropping out of schools annually. So that means we need to tackle the issues of sexual and reproductive health rights. But also we need to see how to reduce on the incidences of early marriages
The Northerners relied a lot on animals for their economy.
Poverty is driving people crazy, you know. How do we help people access resources?
We left the camps around 2005, 2006. People started leaving the camps. And we told government that leave our people to leave the camps gradually.
Now is the time when we're supposed to do business and develop the place.
Like the war again in northern Uganda. Me, I pray so hard if the government can work hard. There should be no war in.
icyo nababwira ni uko bagomba kwakira ibyababayeho kandi bakagira umutima wo gutanga imbabazi.
aba narangiza mbabwira ko hano muri uyu mudugudu turi twishyira hamwe tugakora ubukorikori nuko muzi bwije hari abadamu baboha agaseke natwe ubwacu turorora tugahinga.
nk'abantu baba muri ibyo bihugu bajya baba ambasaderi kuko baba bageze hano tujya twumva ku maradiyo menshi hari abantu bavuga ko bahakana jenoside. nk'aba rero baba bageze hano bajya batubera ambasaderi bakababwira ko jenoside yabaye ariko mu gihugu cy'u Rwanda n'ibindi twabugeze.
Basaba hari abanyarwanda bari iyo mu mahanga bahakana jenoside ko mugomba kubemeza ko jenoside yabaye kuko hatwe twayikoze tuba tubibabwira.
96% of Rwandans, they feel that they are satisfied with the social cohesion of themselves, looking at the trust they have between themselves.
The human race still prevails over the occurrence and the reoccurrence of conflict. And as long as man continues to reproduce, generations are born with their own trait of conflict, the DNA of war.
Sijako wasinza linnya ly'Omukama, erinnya lyange liri ku mutima gwo, ssebo ompita na mwana wo, mu buzibu nzirukira wo. I don't have anywhere else I can go. Shobola basijja kuwa, oh nedda, nze sijja kuwa, nasinza